What's up, everybody? This is Dave and Andy Teleposki, and you're listening to On Point Cast. Episode 5 has Dave and Andy interviewing legendary vocalist Rick Healey, aka Rick Ta Life, a New York hardcore scene fixture from the bands 25 Ta Life and Comin Correct, among others. We took some time to talk to Rick about his current and past involvement in the scene, his friendships with the bands Agnostic Front, Madball, and Biohazard, and discussed a little about his do-it-yourself DIY stance in the music scene, which included his infamous traveling distro with records, CDs, tapes, and more band-related merchandise from bands around the world, which he brought to shows while touring throughout the US and throughout the world. Rick continues to trade tapes, CDs, records, and music with bands throughout the world through his own record store based in Maryland. We hope you enjoy the interview, and be sure to hit the subscribe button to receive future episodes as they're posted. On Point Cast can be heard on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn Radio, among other podcasting platforms, and you can follow us on Instagram or Twitter by searching at OnPointCast or by visiting www.onpointcast.com.
What have you been up to, I guess, the last few years? I mean, I know you moved out of New Jersey, right?
Yeah, I moved out of Jersey back in 2001, and I moved to Baltimore, Maryland, where I've been since. And the last few years, I opened up a record shop in Maryland, and I've been running my record store and just keeping on with the music thing. Still putting stuff out on my label and doing like my distro and stuff like that. So always heavily involved in the music.
Cool. If we wanted to go way back, I don't know, like when did you first start getting into music and getting into the New Jersey music scene?
Oh man, it's a mid 80s. Yeah, before, in like the early 80s, my older brother, he was more into metal, and he would take me to shows like Iron Maiden and Priest and Accept, all like the bigger, just like Billy Squier, just like big shows, and then I started getting into more like of the underground stuff, like Slayer and Metallica, Minor Threat, GBH, Exploited, and stuff like that, and then just started going to like local like DIY shows where there'd be like thrash metal bands or punk bands, hardcore bands, and from there, I mean that was like in the mid 80s when I started getting involved. Then I started going to shows at CB's and L'Amour's, Brooklyn, and stuff like that, like in '86, and from there just going to like CBGB's, and then like the Pipeline in Newark, New Jersey, Studio One in Newark, New Jersey. And like Connections that was in like Randolph, New Jersey, just like a lot of like the older clubs.
How did you end up getting connected with, I know you were sort of connected with the guys in the Agnostic Front back in
Yes. Yeah, well what happened was, man, it's like from going to like the punk shows in New York, like Squatter Rock shows or like ABC No Rio. Roger, the singer for AF, his wife at the time sang in a band called Nausea, like a New York punk group. And like Roger, like me and like a bunch of the kids in Jersey, we would go to all like the punk shows and everything. And then Roger would be there. He had just got out in the jail. And like I knew Agnostic Front prior, like from seeing them and stuff, but we became friends and stuff. And Roger used, because like I was covered in tattoos back then. This is like I guess like the late 80s, like the late 80s, and he was like blown away by that. Wait, it was there? Hold on, maybe the early 90s rather, late 80s, early 90s, yeah. And Roger was like, man, like, you got real tattoos. And he had some cool stuff, but it wasn't colored in at the time. And then after that, he started getting his tattoos. He was getting tattooed from a dude. Man, it was some guy. It was Shotzi's tattoo. It was in like, I think it was in like Haledon, New Jersey or something. And one of the dudes was like an old time like skinhead dude that I can't remember his name right now, man. It's just like been so much time. But anyway, he was just telling me about him, and then me like just going to the shows, I would see Roger, and then I remember Agnostic Front. This is like in '91. AF had some shows. It was like with like Crozier Conformity, Nuclear Assault, in like North Carolina, and I feel like South Carolina, and he asked me, like, at the time I had gotten in an accident, and I wasn't working. I was on disability or whatever. And so he was like, hey, you want to come down and help us out in roadie and do merch for AF? And so I was like, yeah, I'll go. And then from there, I just started helping those guys roadie. And then we did like a US tour, the Hangman's Ball tour it was with Obituary, Cannibal Corpse, Malevolent Creation, and Agnostic Front. And me and Freddie Madball, we were the roadies on that tour. And we did that. That was like, I think it was like 10 weeks, 2 months, something like that, all around the United States. And we did that. And then after that, Agnostic Front was breaking up. So that I knew some of the dudes from the New York hardcore scene, and like they were like, yo, let's start a band. So I'm like, yo, I'm down, definitely. And we started 25 to Life in like, I guess it was like late 92. And from there, we wanted to have a band about unity, keeping the New York hardcore scene alive, the spirit of New York hardcore alive. And from there, we just went with it, man. And we played shows 2-3 times a week all over the, the tri-state area, like New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Pennsylvania, upstate New York, Maryland, and stuff like that, Delaware. So we were just doing that, and from there, like I said, like we just did our thing, man, for the time being.
So what eventually happened, though? You ultimately had some kind of falling out a little bit with some of those guys.
Yeah, well, years later, man. But dude, I'm 51 years old, man, and it's like I had like, just went through some stuff, man. Like being in a band for years, and we were like pretty much like a DIY band. I mean, we toured Europe like 30 times, Pan, Brazil, Puerto Rico. I mean, and it was, man, for years and years, it's a lot of stress, man. And just with anything in life, like when you like with fame, like when you become like a little popular or whatever, or there's a lot of jealousy, and and a lot of people get upset or whatever. They're upset because maybe their band didn't get as big, or you're getting too much like publicity. Everybody's talking about you.
People get egos, right?
Yeah, and well, but as far as Agnostic Front and any kind of troubles I had, dude, like I'm over it, man. I'm cool. I always
let the past.
Exactly, dude. Yo, I always love Agnostic Front for taking me on tour with those guys, and for always. And I'm 51 years old. Every time we ever played, I either did Agnostic Front song or always like Crucified, the Iron Cross cover. I always said Agnostic Front made this song popular. I always gave those dudes props, man. Always love. And I went through some shit, man. Like, I mean, anybody in life, there's ups and downs, dude. And real friends will always be there for you. You know what I'm saying? I mean, no one's perfect in this life. You know what I'm saying? So for me, like I say, I went through some rough times, but I'm doing a lot better. I had like a mental breakdown, man. It was not fun, man. It was really like one of the hardest, besides losing like my dad or something like that. It was like one of the hardest things I've ever went through, man, in my life. But my whole life, I've always suffered, from depression and having anxiety and stuff. And these things, it was just like in my life, like I had a kid with my ex, and me and her weren't like things were going bad with that, and it was just a lot of things in my life, and at once it all caught up with me, man, and that's when it was a bad time for me, man, mentally. But like I said, like as far as AF, man, like there's always love and on my part and mutual respect. You know what I'm saying? Like AF always showed me a lot of love in 25 to Life, and Roger always came up and sang a song with us, or like when Agnostic Front would play, I would always go to the shows and sing a song with them. So it's all part of the like coming up in the hardcore scene and just being involved. So like I said, man, it's all love. For me, I'm 51 years old, dude. I don't like, for a while I had like some hatred for some people in my heart, but I let it go, man. Like it's no good carrying all the hate around, and just that shit just weighs you down and brings you down, man.
Let the best be the best. Let the best be the best. Right down with cherish. Get the magic without sin. Into the world. You just forget I was there for you, and I know I was true.
What about your like vocal style? Like, would you say you sort of were like influenced a lot by AF in that regard, or were there other bands?
Yeah, I mean, I mean, I was on tour with those guys every fucking for months and months at a time. But like for me, I was more into like the punk rock stuff, a lot of Japanese hardcore stuff, and just where every band had like crazy vocals. So I was anywhere from like bands like Gizm or Gauze, SOB, all like these Japanese death side like hardcore bands, like, and then also like DRI, Corrosion of Conformity. A lot of like the crossover stuff. I was really into that at the time, like the metal and the hardcore. Because for me, I was a metalhead that got into like a punk and hardcore and oi, and since then, I mean, I listen to every kind of music. But for me, metal is always my roots, man. It's from Iron Maiden to Priest, and then like the thrash stuff from anywhere from like Venom and Celtic Frost, Sodom, Creator, Destruction, Voivod. Those bands mean a lot to me, as much as they did back then. For me, the way I found out about a lot of bands was the thank yous list in the you know what I'm saying, like where they thank the bands. Yes. So I see all the band, you know, I say, they're thanking this band. Let me check them out. And that's how it was so weird. That was like a way different time, man, because you couldn't. I would have to judge a lot of records just on the cover and how the cover, you know, if the cover art was cool, or if I turned it over and then I seen the dudes rocking whatever, like a Cro-Mag shirt or GBH shirt, I'll say, hey, let me check that out. There was no way of even hearing these bands, really. I used to trade a lot of tapes with people, cassette tapes, just to hear what a band sound like. Today, it's like, dude, you could just go on YouTube, click a band name, and you're instantly able to hear the band. Before, we have to look and find out about these bands. And it was, that's how I found out about a lot of bands. Of course, the old radio shows, a lot of the old, like, I used to get the old Maximum Rock and Roll and read like the reviews of the bands and stuff, and find out about the punk bands and hardcore bands and stuff. And
how'd you end up getting sort of involved with the guys in Biohazard? You were in one of the videos too, right? One of the videos.
Oh yeah, a bunch of like I was in the Punishment one, and then the one with Onyx.
Actually, you're in a Murphy's Law video too, I think, right?
Yeah, Murphy's Law too. Yeah, my buddy, well, Parrish from the Cro-Mags, and he was the old guitar player, and the dude Drew Stone, he was in an Antidote, like New York hardcore band, and he was in some other, like he was in like the High and Mighty and stuff like that. But they used to do videos, like they did all the old videos of like Typo, like the AF stuff. Like those guys did so many videos together, and they would tell me like, hey, like Rick, the Rikers from Germany are coming over. They're doing this video. Would you like to be in it? They want you to be a bartender. So I would come down, like I'm yeah. Like I be the bartender in the video and stuff. And then Murphy's Law was doing a video. Murphy's Law, I think somebody else did that video, but Jimmy and Todd Hughes were like, yo, we're doing this video. You want to come down? And so like I would, try to, go to like as many video shoots as possible. And Biohazard, I mean, like I always been cool with Biohazard. Like those guys always looked out for 25 to Life. I mean, they looked out for all the New York hardcore bands. I mean, they were like the biggest band back then. And so I always had like a lot of respect for them, especially Bobby, the guitar player. I mean, whenever there was shows, he'd always open up like the back door for us, get us in and get us like the backstage passes or whatever, if security were being dicks. But yeah, man, those are some really cool times, man. Biohazard, like Mucky Pup, all like I used to go to the old L'Amour shows when Carnivore, like they would always open up for like Carnivore or like whoever was like the bigger band at the time. Biohazard were like the opening band, but then they just blew up, man.
You're listening to On Point Cast, an interview with Rick to Life from the band 25 to Life. We're going to get into a track right now. This is off their CD, Strength, Integrity, Brotherhood. The name of this track is called Stay Up. Rick personally asked me to play this track. Features a guitar solo from Bobby Hamble of Biohazard. Check it out.
Tell us about some of your tattoos.
You know who had Roger from AF had he had stuff like a big spider on his neck and like a cobweb on his head. And he had a lot of his stuff taken off. I mean, me, I just added more. I got a lot of stuff on my face now, my whole head. I shaved my dreads off. This was back in 2009. I shaved my head, and I mean, I actually had dreads, man, for over 20 something, close to 30 years, man. First I had the long hair, then I had the dreads. Yeah. And once I was almost in my 40s, man, in my mid 30s, I started losing my hair a little bit. And then when I was almost at 40, man, the front was going. So I just shaved it, man. And I just tattooed my whole head and everything. I mean, I was already 90% covered in tattoos.
So when you started getting tattoos, is there a specific theme or something you went after, specific kind of look you wanted, or?
The first, I was just more into I was always into the horror stuff, and I would go to the Chiller Theater, the Horror-thon in New Jersey. I would always I was always into the alien stuff, and so a lot of my first tattoos were music and horror always was a big thing in my life, and so the first thing I got, a lot of people probably don't even notice, is I got some my first tattoos were like skulls, shit like that. I got my arm and a big dragon, and then I got the Slayer demon from Hell Awaits. I think I got that in I got that, but a lot of people they don't even notice what it is. And I had Andrea Ellison, who did a lot of my tattoos. She just put wings on the demon, and I got that. So, and then from there a lot of, as I was touring, I would just, for in Poland, I would get a tattoo of the tour, to put Poland or the city we played in. So I got a lot of tattoos like that, in Japan and Brazil, France, and all the Eastern Europe and Bulgaria, all wherever we were going on tour, I pretty much would want to get a tattoo to remember that time. And so I got tattooed in Puerto Rico and wherever we went, a lot of the places, I toured Europe 30 times in Eastern Europe. So if we went to Slovakia or Slovenia or Bulgaria, Greece, I would always try to get a tattoo, one of those places. So, but the tattoo thing, I used to go to the earlier tattoo conventions in the early 90s, and I won a lot of trophies I took first place, second place, or the Hells Angels tattoo conventions and stuff like that. And whenever I won the trophies, I would always give them to Andrea Ellison. Andrea, she was a skinhead girl from the New York hardcore scene, and she was a great artist, and she started to tattoo. And she's like a big artist now. I mean, she did probably a good 70% of my tattoos. She did my stomach piece. I got the Celtic Frost to Megatherion with the demon holding the Jesus in the slingshot. That's on my stomach. I mean, a lot of people, I think they don't know where my tattoo, the idea is some of the stuff came from, but a lot of the stuff is H.R. Geiger themed stuff from Aliens, and I met him in the mid 90s. The artist H.R. who did Aliens and stuff like that, and he invited me down because he called me the living H.R. Geiger museum, because I had a lot of his artwork tattooed on me. And when I first met him, he was blown away. And he was man, and he invited me to be in his book. And he was doing a shooting in New York, and I went, and he had he used to make all this artwork stuff, and he made this crazy chair. And he took I took a picture in the chair, and it was cool, man. I stayed in contact with him, and he mailed me would mail me postcards and stuff like that. I mean, he passed away now, but the crazy thing is that he did Celtic Frost, who were another band that was very big, had a big influence on me. He did a lot of the artwork for their records, or Tom, the singer of Celtic Frost and Hellhammer, he would take the artwork, ask permission, of course, if he could use it. And it's so wild, man, that how all that came into connection, my tattoos and meeting H.R. Geiger when he would go to the conventions in the mid 90s. And then there was a show where he did a artwork for the band Carcass for Heartwork. This is in the mid 90s. And 25 to Life, we opened up a show for Carcass at the Limelight in New York City. That was pretty wild, man.
You're listening to On Point Cast. Follow us on Instagram, YouTube, or Twitter. Be sure to hit the subscribe button to hear new interviews on topics ranging from music to sports and everything in between. We're also looking for partners to share your content with us. Please visit onpointcast.com/submissions for more information.
What do you think is the most misunderstood thing about you?
I think the one thing is that people, a lot of misunderstanding is that, oh man, there's so many things. One thing is that I'm a businessman or whatever. But the truth of the matter, of course, like when you're involved in music, once you sell a demo tape or dude, you're in business. And it's not like there's let's just be honest. I mean, there's not a lot of money in this, and people think that whatever. Like I was into it for the money or something, which always blew my mind because I'm a collector, man. Whether a band puts on a bootleg or like whatever it is, I'm a big fan. Like so, I wanna have that. So there's always people just trashing. They were trashing my name. I mean, I don't hear anything anymore. And also, like I said, I'm 51, man. I don't really. I've learned this in life, man. That everybody has their opinion, and I mean, I can't go around arguing with everybody that has an opinion about me. So, just like, but that is like the one thing. I mean, dude, like I said, I'm a big fan of underground music, and I think that's one thing. And then, like I said, I mean, people maybe thought that I was like some kind of rock star or something. I don't know. To me though, but I'm for the people who've actually met me and weren't like a hater or whatever, or just jealous of what I was doing. A lot of people, they like me, or I'm down to earth, dude. Like I'll talk to anybody about anything or whatever. I'm not a stuck up person. And I think just a lot of people, like they took my kindness, as a weakness. That when we played shows, I always tried to help a lot of bands out and look out for people. And then people, like, they would just like, a lot of people would like I said, man, just get either jealous or whatever, or like want to talk shit about me because a lot of people were saying good things about me. And it's like, just like, especially in like New York, dude. I mean, there's so many fucking haters in New York, dude, that like are just, they don't want to put in the work, but they want the hype. The thing with me and with my bands is I put in a lot of work, dude. And I from flyers, booking shows to I mean, dude, we toured our asses off, man. And if you're a DIY hardcore band, how hard that shit is, man. It's a lot of bands, they burn out, dude. And I mean, I'm not saying, I mean, I definitely burnt out as well. And towards the end of the 2000s, dude, I was fucking, dude, I was just, we went through the early 2000s, and dude, New York hardcore had fell off again in the early 2000s. It was like the 90s all over again. And I mean, dude, we kept going nonstop, dude. Like we went through all that. Plus I was doing my other band, Comin Correct, when I was touring Japan and Europe, and like we were touring a lot too, the West Coast and shit like that. And like, yeah, the one thing I think is that people, like they think that the biggest misunderstanding is that this all came easy, dude. Yo, like, and I mean, we're still like, to me, like 25 Life is like a small time band, right? We're a small hardcore band, and that's the one thing, man. I feel like is misunderstood is that like that 25 Life, we had it easy or something, or it was a lot of work and we did it for years. I mean, I'm still promoting my band. My band's 30, almost 30 years later, still like getting the songs up and still like doing my label, my DIY label. I mean, it's a labor of love, man. It's something you gotta be into. I mean, or I would have turned my back and not even care about the music. But I think that's the one thing, man.
Okay.
That's a good question.
Yeah. So, I mean, talking about all that though, like, so you're talking about like a little bit about the business side. So talk a little bit about starting a record label and talk about Back to Basics, your record label.
Yeah. Well, that was like, I started my label as like I was always into like the DIY, like keeping the scene strong and supporting each other's and the scene in the community or whatever. And so that was my way of like, when we played like just certain areas in like Pennsylvania or Connecticut or up in like Brockton, Massachusetts or something, like there was like these bands like Beneath the Remains, Reach the Sky. These are like Boston bands. So, and I was like, man, these are great bands. And so I was like, the bands had like demos at the time, and I was like, hey, like I was doing like a lot of split 7-inches. So I would tell them like, hey, you want to do like a split 7-inch? And so I did that with a lot of bands, from Crutch, Surrounded, like there was like any of the local bands like Dirt Nap. I would do a split with like the New Jersey hardcore band Dirt Nap and Comin Correct. So I did a like E-Town, like early like E-Town stuff with Second to None. I would do like split 7-inches with those bands. And just to help them get their name out, I would do like 1,000 of each. Like I did like Everybody Gets Hurt, Billy Club Sandwich split, Inhuman, Shutdown Indecision. A lot of like the earlier like New York Strict for that time, those bands who didn't have a lot of records out, and it was just like my way of giving back to the hardcore scene. I did like compilations, like Call for Unity comp, and I put like 20-something hardcore bands from Japan, Europe.
Yes.
And then I would do like I started doing like CDs, like, and this is like about like the mid '90s, I want to say. I started doing like some of like I did like the Comin Corrects, the first CD, and then I did like a 1 for 1 CD, like the New Jersey hardcore band. They were a great band at the time, and I mean they definitely deserved to have a CD out. So it was a big deal to have a CD out back then. I did like Crutch from Pennsylvania. I did the first E-Town CD when nobody knew them, and we were hooking them up with shows. I was like, man, these guys are amazing. And even like bands like back then, it was even like bands like Hatebreed. Like we got Hatebreed a lot of like their first shows at like Studio One in Philly. Like we got them to open up for us, and so from there, like with the label, with the DIY thing, a lot of people and who were in bands that they used to do labels back then. Like Jamie Hatebreed, he had his label Stillborn. It was like I had Back to Basics. A lot of people up in Troy, New York, they have their labels, and Tony Victory, who used to do Victory Records. I would trade with all these people, man. It was like just getting the word out, like letting people hear like the underground stuff, and like that, and that's what I still do, man. I trade with a lot of people all around the world. I'll send them some CDs, they send me some CDs, or I send them records or whatever, and that's just a lot of the underground stuff. That's the only way. Like back then, it was pretty much get your stuff heard. And now it's different with the YouTube and Spotify and shit like that. You can hear stuff, but I still, because I'm a collector, I like to get a lot of the physical, whether it's a CD or a cassette tape or what vinyl. Big on vinyl, and it's so weird because I started with vinyl, doing like a lot of split 7-inches, and I did like the 25 to Life, the demo 93. Stuff like that. And then from there, I went to CDs because vinyl died. Yeah. And then it's weird because, and
vinyl's kind of back in a way.
Dude, now I'm putting out CDs and LPs, but vinyl sells more than the CD. So it's so crazy. But I mean, it's been almost, you figure like 25 years. So like it went from like for me, even before that, like 30-something years, it started with the demo tapes, cassette tapes, which I mean I still have, man. I'm a collector. I've been collecting, since for 30 plus years now, the music.
I was gonna say to you, I think I witnessed once or twice at a show you with you had like your traveling distro, like people used to say it was a traveling distro or like a flea market kind of, right?
Yeah, it was, man. Yeah, looking back, I was definitely, man, dude, it was a lot of work, man. But I don't know, man. To me, it wasn't work because I loved it, man. Like I felt the love. I was helping a lot of people out, and the money I made, I always put back into my label, or like 25 to Life or Comin Correct merch, like T-shirts and hats and shit like that. So it gave me the resources to put them to get more stuff out for my bands and to help my band get like more exposure and help the bands on my label and stuff like that. So yeah, man, it was a lot of work, but back then I was young, man. I was in my during those times I was 25 years old, man. I had a lot of energy. I mean, dude, I couldn't imagine, dude. I can't. Once I hit like 40, dude, I couldn't even sit in a van anymore or travel, dude. Like I couldn't even go on long drives, dude. I was so burnt out, man, from sitting in, a van for like 10 hours, like fucking, I mean, dude, we did a drive from Italy to Holland. It was like 18 hours, dude. Jeez. And it's like, dude, I'm just like, then like when we would tour Japan, it was like, Europe was only like 8 hours, but like Japan was like either 16 or 18 hours, man, just sitting on a plane. So like for a while, I was like, dude, I was just so burnt out, man. I just could not, I didn't want to travel anymore. And it's just recently that I've been talking to some people about doing some stuff with 25 Life again. But because I haven't, the last record I did was 2013 with Comin Correct. We did the brand new CD and vinyl, The Drugs Destroy Dreams. And the last one I did with 25 Life was 2009, The Strength, Integrity, Brotherhood. And we had like Bobby Biohazard play guitar on it. We had a bunch of different people doing vocals with me and stuff. And so those came out, and that was like, we did a bunch of touring for that stuff, Florida, the West Coast, Europe, of course. And after that, man, I was just like so burnt out, man. But so now finally I'm like, yeah, man, like I want to do some stuff again. And now the COVID hit, and we're working on a new 6-song CD and a new split for 2021. I want to have those both out, and just getting, back more into this. Well, like I said, man, for a while, I was just so burnt out, man. I had
sure.
But like everything, sometimes you just need to
take a step back, kind of
take a break, and then like have your you appreciate things, man. And then I had so many memories, dude, that I would just look back at, like the old flyers, the old videos, all this stuff that people were sending me. I'm like, God damn, we did a lot, man. And for a small band and like a DIY, I mean, the biggest label we were ever on was Triple Crown Records and out of New York City in the USA, and Kingfisher, which was a division of Century Media in Europe at the time. I mean, this is like the early 2000s, and the rest was like nobody. The only time people want to hook you up a lot of times is when your band is already established, man.
Yeah,
we did a lot of legwork, and but yeah, man, I'm definitely, hopefully, once all the COVID thing is over, and I mean, who knows, man? They're saying 2022. I mean, but I'll definitely be looking forward to doing some traveling then, and we'll have the new, like I said, like the 25 to Life one is up on iTunes and all that stuff, and YouTube. There's all clips, and once we get the new 6-song out for 2021, then we'll have all that up, and hopefully kids will have time to get that and get the lyrics and all that good stuff.
So, I don't know. What do you think? I guess you kind of were touching on some things related to this a little bit, so I'll kind of ask this question. I don't know. Do you think how do I put this? I would say, how do you feel? Do you think that the E-Town song "Shady" was written about you?
I mean, yeah. I mean, yo, this is how I look at it. I mean, I love it. I mean, even back then, people were telling me, "Yo, Rick." To me, I'm like, look, man, they were young kids. Like, I talked to Ant years later, and he would tell me, "Yo, Rick, we were young kids. I was ungrateful." And so it's all good, man. Yo, to me, what happened was why they got upset was, dude, keep in mind, I was busy with my band. I was doing stuff to help other bands, because just to show some love, man. There was never no intent to hurt anybody's feelings or anything like that. And so those dudes, they were upset that we did like a record release show, but the CDs didn't come in time. But that wasn't my fault. That was the manufacturing, the people who manufactured the CD. All I did is supply them with the CD master, the artwork and stuff. But I mean, as far as like me getting the CDs, it's up to the manufacturing place, the pressing plant. I can't make them go any faster. You know what I'm saying? So I remember Ant was upset about that at the time. And then, like me, I had like a standard deal with people back then. Like I would do it was like whatever kind of pressing we did, I would give them 10% of that. And if I did a repress, same thing. I would keep them like at a 10%. So just saying, like if we did like 1,000 CDs, I'd give them 100 CDs, and so they could sell them at $10 each, and they would make like $1,000. I mean, but me, I put up all the money and everything. It hyped up their name all around the world, pretty much. And so, but as far as that song. Yo, to me, I just, even back then, I took it as just like people not appreciating what people did for them, man, like namely me. And so it was all good. And even back then, I was a little older, man, than a lot of these, even like Madball. I'm like, I got like 5 years on him. Like I'm older than a lot of the people in the scene. So with E-Town, they were just young kids, man. And the whole reason that I wanted to do E-Town was did the split 7 extended CD, and the whole reason I wanted to do was their guitar player at the time, Kenny. he used to love 25 Life, man. He always rep for us, come to the shows, help me with my distro, bring all my stuff in and everything. So I was like, yo, man, with me, I'm always about giving back, man, like helping out and looking out. And I mean, when I did the E-Town CD, nobody even knew who the fuck they were, really. It was like, yo, me just trying to show love. And that CD, that first one I did, man, Time to Shine, they did a good job, man, with the production and everything. And so, you know, for me, it was like, even people years later when they I was proud of that, man. I'm like, yo, I put them dudes on the map or whatever. I mean, I helped them, man. I helped them. Sure. And years later, like I said, when I talked to Andy, he's like, yo, Rick, man, I was a young kid. So it's all good, man. Honestly, I never had really any hard feelings, man, because to me, I knew my heart was in the right place. So, but I mean, sometimes for me, I was dealing with so much positivity in the 90s and people like so much support, dude, that I really didn't know how to handle all the hate and people talking shit, because I've never experienced anything like that in my life. Like, I had to learn how to deal with all that shit, learn how to, you know, communicate with people and talk to them years later. So, because people, if they're thinking one way, they're thinking the way they're thinking, I'm thinking the way I'm thinking, and we're both whatever, we're both saying what we both feel, and we both think we're right. But once you communicate and each other know what's up, and it's like, I understand. But there wasn't a lot of communication back then as far as that. So, but yeah, man, it's all love for E-Town, dude. And I wish those guys, like, I think Ant runs like some kind of like coffee shop now or something. And I think New York, somebody was telling me, but I haven't spoke to him for a little bit, man. But they were part of the scene, man. They were one of the bands back then that were doing it. So.
Yo, Dad, did you see those new white on black snapbacks from On Point Cast?
Yeah, they are pretty cool. I really like the white lettering on the black New Era 5950 snapback caps.
So how do we get one of those fat caps?
Easy. Just head on over to www.onpointcast.com/shop and you can see for yourself.
So, Dad, you're gonna buy me one of those caps, right?
Sure. I'm heading on over to onpointcast.com/shop right now to pick one up for you and one for your mother.
Thanks, Dad. You're the coolest.
So what does keeping it real mean to you?
Keeping it real, yeah. To me, just doing what you love, man. Whether it's cool or uncool, and that's always what I've done, man. Yo, through all the love and the hate, yo, I always just kept doing my thing, man. I never, like I said, after a while, man, yo, hearing shit and people who you've trusted, or like you were like, yo, like these are my boys, and then seeing in the end how people ain't got your back the way you had their back. I'm like, damn. So I've experienced a lot of stuff like that, but keeping it real is just staying true, man. Just keeping the spirit alive of hardcore. That's what it meant to me. Like, so.
Sure. Cool. reincarnation of 25 to Life with Stickman from Fury?
Dude, dude, me personally, I loved it, dude. I loved it, man. Like I said, I mean, for me, it's like, first of all, it's not 25 to Life. I mean, 25 to Life is my band. I named the band, wrote all the lyrics, helped with the music and shit like that. And the dudes who were part of that were all the dudes that left in the band in the 90s. Seth was in the band at the time for like maybe a year. He was in One for One, and like all of a sudden 25 to Life was like the biggest thing in his life, which makes me laugh. Mike, the other dude from One for One, he was in the band for like 2 months. Fred left the band, and Fred was in the band 93 till 99, but he didn't really tour with us. He didn't do any of the European tours. Basically, this dude didn't do any of the legwork. You know what I'm saying? When we're playing shows, like even like the time of the New York Hardcore documentary, he's not even in the New York Hardcore documentary. He would show up when he wanted to. It wasn't like something that was like very important to him. You know what I'm saying? To me, 25 to Life, that was my everything, dude. I missed a lot of shit to make sure I did I was there to perform and to play the shows. And then you got Beto, who was Beto was a friend of mine, man. Before they even did this, he told me, "Yo, Rick, I'm gonna do this," and I was like, "Yo, hey, do what you want," because at the time, I had so much beef with a lot of people, and I wasn't in my right mind. And I was working with a doctor at the time because I was dealing with depression really bad and shit like that. So I was burnt out and fucking dealing with depression, and so I was going through a lot. But for years later, when I look at it, those guys did a little bit. And for me, though, I felt embarrassed for them, man, because it wasn't, if I was there, yo, that fucking place would have been insane, dude. Pile-ons, sing-alongs. Dude, I felt bad for them, honestly, man. And I feel like the music sounded great, but the spirit of the band wasn't there, man, to me. You know what I'm saying? Those guys to me, they could have been just like a heavy metal band just going through the motions, man. Like there's no, there was no, first off, to have somebody in a band who's beefing with me, what I'm saying, who's like making fun of, at the time, the dude was making fun of the way I sang and shit like that. And then it's like, fuck, are you gonna get up there? But I know how it all worked because I had beef with the one dude, Joe Hardcore, who does that festival. And he had called me up and asked me, Rick, would you play my fest? And I was like, nah, man, I'm not interested. Because to me, it just seemed like a bunch of people who were trying to jump on the glory train, dude. Not people, 25 Life, I never stopped with my band, you know what I'm saying? But the people, a lot of those bands doing reunion shows and shit, and it was like I just seen how like the scene changed, man. And a lot of people, it really became about money, making money off the hardcore scene, dude. Like the paycheck hardcore, that's what I was calling it at the time. Like the Cro-Mags. I mean, dude, like those guys were gone for so long, dude. And for a band like the Cro-Mags, they only put out one good record to me. You know what I'm saying? I mean, Best Wishes was okay, but it never lived up to the hype of the Age of Quarrel again. You know what I'm saying? Sure. And I just to see all these people and how fake it had become to me, man. It was like, it just wasn't like I'll give this band $10,000 to play a show. I'll give this band, let me, yo, Rick, if you'll do 25 Live, I'll give you like $5,000 to do this show. And I'm like, dude, like, to me, that's like selling out, dude. Like, I'm not, just because you're offering me money doesn't mean I'm going to jump on it. That's not how I operate, man. You know what I'm saying? And there's other people that's all they give a fuck about, man. You know what I'm saying? But to me, I love the music. It means a lot. I understand for some of these people, they invested so much time into it, and dude, here's their payday. It's like the Misfits. To me, whatever. When they play Madison Square Garden and like in Jersey at the Meadowlands Arena, whatever it is, I mean, hey, man. Yo, it's the Misfits. If you're from Jersey, the Misfits were like, that was our kiss, man. So I was happy to see that. Some people, when you're doing it so long, yo, man, you deserve it. So I never knock anybody, but it's just the way I like how I was at the time. Like I just didn't, it wasn't something that I wanted to do, man. So I had beef with this dude. He went behind my back and he got one up like, yo, offering these dudes money. It was about money, man. And to me, that was the biggest just like fucking like on some sellout shit. And but that's cool. I mean, hey, more power to them, dude, Joe. But I mean, they see what it's about, man. Yo, they did like a few shows and then they saw like, dude, it's a lot of fucking work, man. And I did that shit for 20 something years, man. You could say whatever you want about me, but I mean, dude, for those dudes to go and fucking do some shit like that behind my back. I mean, I haven't spoke to those dudes in 20 years. The only one I spoke to was Beto, the guitar player, who, I mean, we were cool at the time, but after that shit, I'm just like, yo, man, I got no more love for them dudes, man. There's nothing to talk about or anything. I mean, because like I said, like I kept 25 Life going for all those years, man. It was just like, it was to show disrespect towards me, and they accomplished that, but that's all they wanted to do. There was no love for 25 Life. Like, oh, yo, it wasn't about the spirit of hardcore or anything like that. It was to make money, man. And so those dudes, like I said, I have no hard feelings. I really, like, if anything, they just created like a hype where people are like, yo, like, what the fuck is going on, dude? Where's Rick? But it was the perfect time because, like I said, man, I had a nervous breakdown and I was suffering mentally, man. It was a bad time for me. And it kind of just showed me over time, man, like who was real, who towards me, who were like my real friends, who really cared about me and my mental health and my well-being. Because when I see like some of the people who were there, who once they were great, I consider them great friends. Meaning to just see like people know that I was suffering mentally and like to do this shit behind my back, man, was just kind of fucked up, man. But again, like I've always been in my life, I'll just be the bigger man and look past it and just continue doing my thing, man. So
awesome. Yeah.
No hard feelings for me.
Definitely. So just switching gears here, just a couple lighthearted questions here. So which is better? New Jersey hardcore or New York hardcore?
For me, I mean, I think a lot of people, didn't know this, but I grew up in New Jersey. But to me, there was some great New Jersey hardcore bands like AOD, Sacred Denial, stuff like, and then later bands like Curb Jaw and Strength 691, For the Love Of. I mean, later One for One and stuff like that. I mean, there was a lot of great New Jersey hardcore bands. But for me, hardcore from when I was young, it was about New York hardcore and DC hardcore, from Minor Threat and Bad Brains, and then New York with The Abused, Antidote, Gnostic Front, like a lot of the Reagan Youth, a lot of Crumbsuckers, a lot of the stuff was New York hardcore. So to me, even though I grew up in New Jersey, I was the only guy in 25 to Life that wasn't from Queens. Like everybody else was from Queens, New York, pretty much, and like we would all meet. And in Manhattan, I would take the PATH train, New Jersey, over to Manhattan, and we would all practice in Manhattan. We did that for years. So for me, it's New York hardcore, but I'm from New Jersey. I mean, so I love the old Pipeline, Studio One crowd, and all the kids that were involved back then. Man, that was such a good time. I don't think anybody knew how great it was. Like the shows that Anthony Trance at the time and Emilio, those guys were booking at the Pipeline and Newark, man. That was like such a great time, dude. I mean, really saw so many great shows, so many great bands started in that scene. But yeah, man, definitely New York hardcore, because that's what 25 to Life is known as. I mean, where we played most of the shows, where we started at the time was in New York. Opening like our first shows, like we got up there. Dark Side was Blake from Sheer Terror's newer band at the time in the 90s, and they helped us get on the show. Killing Time let us get up and do like a couple shows, songs. Madball would let us come out and bust a couple songs. So that's where we always got to love, and that's where I hung out. I hung out in New York City. So back then in the 90s. So yeah.
Yeah, so you mentioned it, and that was actually one of my other questions. So if you had to choose, which one was better, Studio One or Pipeline?
Oh, man. Man, I tell you, oh, man. But I got to go with the Pipeline because it was hardcore. I mean, Pete Terster, the dude who booked the shows at Studio One, I mean, he was like a metalhead, man. He loved it too. A lot of people at the time, because I guess a lot of bands sold tickets to play the shows, but we did some great shows there, man. I remember we did like the Super Bowl of hardcore. I think it was like '94 there, and New York hardcore had fallen off, dude, at the time, and we had like this great show, man. It was like Murphy's Law, Leeway, Cold as Life, Vision, 25 Life, Crown of Thorns, The Iceman. I mean, there was so many bands. And dude, there was like maybe 100 people there. Shelter, like all these crazy, and like that's all it was, dude. Like maybe 100 people in 1994, dude. New York hardcore was it was in a rough place at the time, man. And but the first show that we ever did with 25 Life was in '93. Was at Studio One, and the show was, we had just finished a tour with Agnostic Front and Obituary. And so Agnostic Front was breaking up and Madball was starting up, and I was starting up 25 to Life. And so we did this show, 25 to Life, Madball, Fear Factory, and Obituary. Wow. So that was the first show we ever played, dude. I mean, it was like, so it was pretty wild. But the bass player at the time of Obituary, Frank Watkins, who he passed away, man. But he loved 25 Life, man. When we would go on tour, he lived down in Florida, and when we would tour Florida, he'd help us out, get shows. And I mean, he was into the hardcore stuff, man, and as well as the black metal and stuff like that. But he was a good dude, man. Obituary were always, they loved the hardcore and the death metal stuff. And that's how I was, because I love metal, I love hardcore, I love punk, I love all different styles of music. But yeah, man, definitely, I know that was our first show we ever played, but the Pipeline, man, because it kept the hardcore scene going. And I mean, Anthony Trance, he booked so many great shows, man. He helped out so many bands. I mean, the Pipeline and Studio One, they both, to me, brought back like the northern New Jersey hardcore scene, man, with their shows. I mean, they had everybody, Slapshot. I mean, Murphy's Law. I mean, everybody played there. Poison Idea, whoever was touring, was traveling, dude, they played. That was a stop, man. Because City Gardens had closed down, so that was in Trenton. So the place that was doing the shows all that while was the Pipeline in New Jersey.
I want to say I was at a show at Studio One. I know Life of Agony played and Dog Eat Dog played. And I want to say maybe Madball played too, but that place was so packed. I don't even know how that floor did not collapse. Because if you remember, I remember going up the stairs to go to the stage. Up the stairs. Right. There were so many people on that level. I just don't even know how that floor didn't cave.
Dude, I was saying, is that the show that little Keith, he passed out? It was so hot.
Yes.
Dude, I remember that, dude. That was a crazy ass show, man. Definitely. I just remember LOA because fucking Keith passed out and shit. It was so hot. I was like, dude, it's so hot. And I couldn't imagine he was up there singing and grooving and fucking and just, yeah, man, that was pretty wild. There was some amazing shows. And plus, dude, Dog Eat Dog back then, holy fuck, man. Yeah. I mean, Dog Eat Dog, they were like the big thing back then. It was Biohazard, but Dog Eat Dog, yeah, and LOA, man. I remember that they were fucking huge back then. I mean, they fell off for a while, but dude, everybody falls off then comes back. You know what I mean? LOA is like bigger than ever right now.
Yeah. All right.
I miss those old shows at Studio One, man. That was such a good time, dude.
I know. Yeah, those are good days.
Dude, I remember seeing Sepultura there and hanging out on the bus with me and Kevin from Bulldoze. We went on the bus and we're hanging out with Max and Igor from Sepultura. They just had the big tour bus. They park on the side and shit. It was fucking, it was crazy, man.
That was around the Arise era or Chaos AD.
Oh, dude, yeah, it was early, man. When they were when Sepultura when they were like, I mean, I still buy the records with Derek Green on the records. Sepultura, I always love those guys. But, dude, it just never could compare to like Arise, Chaos AD, or the fucking Beneath the Remains. Dude, those fucking records are just so hard, dude. So brutal, man.
Yeah, so then that'll bring me to my next question. Nu metal or thrash metal?
Oh, yeah, man, no doubt, you do thrash metal, man. I mean, that's like, dude, when we were over, a lot of times if we're playing Germany, dude, we'll play clubs and like talk to the sound man and shit, and we're like, here's somebody playing it down below us. And they're like, yeah, that's Creator, man. That's Creator's, they're down there practicing. I was like, what? So I went down there, met Millie and the drummer Ventor, the dudes, and to this day, like I'm still cool with Millie, man. He's still doing Creator, obviously. You know what I mean? And then we played another spot in Germany where the dude from the manager of the Exploited, he runs this bar and club and books all these bands. And there was this thrash band opening up for us, which is a cool band. I mean, I love thrash stuff. So, yo, the dudes from Destruction come to the show, man. I'm like, holy fuck, yo. Schmear, you know, I hung out with him. His boy tattooed me, and he brought all like the Destruction, like signed CDs and T-shirts, and yo, man, the coolest dude, yo, like Destruction. And I was like, yo, man, when I was like in my teens, dude, those were like my fucking bands, man. Sodom, Destruction, Creator. That was like, what a time for music, man.
Sure. Okay, so who was a better drummer, Seth or any of the other drummers from 25 to Life?
Man, the best drummer that I ever played with in 25 to Life was definitely, man, we had a lot of good drummers over the years, man. Definitely Rob Pilata was a good drummer. He played on Friendship, Loyalty, Commitment. I mean, he was a beast on the drums. But he was more of a metal dude. He was in a band called like a Mind Eraser from New Jersey. He was a New Jersey guy. This is in like the late 90s when we had Rob Pilata on drums and we had Dave Urban on bass. He was in Faction Zero. Yo, Faction Zero is still going, dude. Fucking 2020, nothing could stop them. But they're like, you know, one of like the underground greats. Like, and they're still going, man. They're still fucking. But it's hardcore. We're hardcore now. It just seems like you're either playing these super big hardcore shows, festivals now, whatever, or you're playing like to the 30 or 50 kids, which is. And I mean, dude, if you love it, you don't give a fuck, man. You're out there, you're doing what you love. That's all that matters. And I mean, I think that's what it's about with Faction Zero and a lot of like the old time bands that are still doing it, where they're not playing festivals, you're just playing these shows because they loved it. And but there was a good so Rob Pilata definitely, and then Harry Minas, who was our original drummer. I mean, dude, he was such a good fucking drummer, man, good dude. But he left the band in like the mid 90s because his dad had suffered from like, I think it was like a stroke, man. Like he had to get a second job to like help his family with the bills and shit. So he was a good dude, man. But we've had the one dude, Petey was in a bunch of bands, man. He played with, what the fuck, Jeff Wood. He was in a band called, he had this crazy fucking band, man. I know he was in Dillinger Escape Plan. Anyway, my boy Pete, he played on Hellbound Misery Torment. He played from that with Hellbound Misery Torment. That was the 2005 record we did. And then he played on 2009's Strength, Integrity, Brotherhood LP. And he's a fucking badass drummer, dude. This guy's just like a really, brutal drummer. So, yeah, man. But I mean, I think as far as like my favorite drummers of all time that I played with, I would probably go with a cross between Rob and Pete, man. Definitely. I mean, those two guys are like my favorites to play with but those guys are more, Petey's more influenced by like Overkill and fucking just brutal drummer, man. Brutal double bass. And Rob, I would say the same, but Rob's just older, man. So he's more into like my time thrash. You know what I'm saying? Like the Creators and then like the crossover shit, like Corrosion of Conformity and Crumbsuckers and stuff like that. So, but yeah, man, I've been very fortunate, man, to play with some really good drummers. When I've toured like on a lot of the later European tours, I had like drummers from one of the bands, Kickback, in Paris, France. He played, and I mean, fucking again, another brutal, metalcore drummer. He was great. And then I had this other dude from Rennes, France, Jobby. He played with me, and he played with me on a bunch of tours, and he was always great, man. But these guys are all in bigger bands in the European hardcore scene. So, sure. But yeah, man, definitely.
Let's see, dogs or cats? Which do you prefer?
Dogs are, dude. Definitely my dog, man. My pit bulls, man. To me, they're like my family, man. I love them. They're like the most. Everybody says they're. I
was gonna say, are pit bulls misunderstood?
Yo, 100%, man. My pit bull, like my dog, like the one pit bull we got, girl pit bull. She's so protective of my wife, man. I mean, like she loves my wife, the kids. I mean, such a good dog, like a really very protective. But I mean, dude, like just at the same time, the sweetest dog. You know what I'm saying? Like you would never think it looking at it because they're so like muscular looking and everything. But yeah, man, definitely dogs. Yeah.
Cool. Let's see. If you could go back and do something differently, what would it be?
If I could go back and do something differently, what would it be? Man, I gotta say, I'm gonna stick to my guns, man. I mean, I'm gonna keep it the way everything was. For whatever reason, to me, it worked out the way it did, and it was meant to be. So, yeah, man. I have no regrets in life, man. Not one, dude.
That's good.
I mean, from when I was younger, being on fucked up on drugs, and just fucking getting locked up and shit like that. I mean, everything I've ever been through made I've learned from that. I'm like a smarter person. That's it, man. Life's all about lessons. So I wouldn't want to change anything, man, because it all made me the person I am today.
Not to get negative again, but this was on my list here. Do you have anything to say to the haters?
I mean, a lot of times with the hate, man, it's just people sometimes point out things that
you wrote a song, Haters Be Damned, right?
Yes. And then we got Haters Be Damned. That came out in 2004. And then we did another song, Haters, which that was from 2003. I mean, I've dealt with...
Funny side note, I actually say that sometimes with my wife, and we'll talk about something, I'll just be like, haters be damned.
Yeah. There's always going to be people in life, man, that are just, dude, for whatever reason, they just don't like you and I mean, dude, it's just the way it is, man. And there's nothing, no matter what you do, dude, these people, it's just whatever you, even if you did it another way around, they'd still fucking hate on you because that's just the way it is, man. You can't make everybody happy. And I've learned I've learned this over time, man, that people are just going to complain no matter what. It's like today with like, you know, watching the election thing where like they're fucking 1 minute they're hating on Trump, next minute they're hating on Biden or whatever. It's like, dude, like no matter what, you can't win, dude. So, but as far as the haters, man, I'm just like, yo, man, they help me. Sometimes I take it like this, man, like people giving you advice or whatever, you know, like pointing out things that maybe you yourself need to work on sometimes, you know what I mean? So I always try to look towards the positive, man. And that's the same thing I was saying about like having hatred for things. Yo, man, I mean, I've let go of my hate, man, because that shit wears you down, man. It just, you know, after a while, it's just, you're putting all that energy and effort into keeping that hate going, man. You know what I'm saying? And I want to put my time and my efforts into positive things, actually accomplish stuff. So I could look back and be like, oh, man, I used my time wisely. I didn't just waste it doing some stupid shit.
So who what's your prediction? Who's going to win, Trump or Biden?
Oh, man, I've never really been like a political person in my life, man. But as far as like dude, I don't even think it matters, man. Whoever they want to win is going to win. The higher ups, you know what I'm saying? Sure. I don't even think with the whole voting thing, dude, you see like Trump won all these places, but now they're suddenly they got all these ballots and Biden's going to win. I mean, one way or the other, man. I don't even think it's going to matter, man. You know what I'm saying? So to me, it's just, this is how I feel about things, man, right now. To me, it's like, it's about the haves and the have-nots. And they're making it out to be like a color thing, like a lot of time with the riots and shit. Dude, it doesn't even matter. Dude, it's about the people who have money and the people who don't have money, man. You know what I'm saying? So that's it. That's America right now, the great big divide, man. But hopefully whoever does win will bring things together, man, and try to just let people live the best life they could. Because America, dude, I've been all around the world, man. Say what you want about whatever about America. America is the greatest country in the fucking world, dude. There's no doubt about it. Everybody's there, bro. It's like it's a country that gives everybody a chance, man. So I mean, I'm fortunate. I grew up in New Jersey, and I mean, and I grew up in Patterson, New Jersey. And I mean, dude, I grew up with everybody, man. So to me, it was never like a white thing or whatever. I mean, I grew up with like black kids, Puerto Rican kids, Yugoslavian kids, Chinese kids. I mean, there was everybody. You know what I'm saying? It was like that. To me, that's America, man. It's everybody. It's just, for me, it's sad, honestly, just to see how divided of a country that the United that we've become, man. Where it's like everybody's like against each other, man.
In one sense, I think it's more. I don't think people are as divided as it's being portrayed. Because like I said, like you just said, I mean, same with me. Yeah, you have a lot of people, a lot of friends, a lot of people you grew up with or this or that are of all different groups and ethnicities and everything. And you look past that.
Yeah, dude, especially if you grew up in a spot like Jersey, man. I mean, and like, even when we used to travel to like these places in bumfuck nowhere, dude. And like, someone would be like, this dude's like, he's like a white power dude or whatever. And I'm like, yo, man, look, we grew up in the city. We are the way we are. These dudes grew up out here in the fields of like Kansas City, Missouri. Dude, that's all they know, man. You know what I'm saying? I don't blame people, man, for the way it's how you were raised, man, how you grew up. You know what I'm saying? So, but to me, I always try to find the good in people, man. You know what I'm saying? So I've over the years, people, when I was when I toured with AF back in the day, I mean, the one dude, I'll never forget this in my life, man. It was me and Freddie Madball, we're talking, right? The one dude, he booked a show, he invited us to his house. And he was like, yo, man, he's like, yeah, check out the literature and stuff. So it was all like this white power, Ku Klux Klan shit. You know what I'm saying? And this dude is like serious. He was like, I was fucking blown away, dude. That, this guy booked Agnostic Front. You know what I'm saying? But he was cool as fuck, man. You know what I'm saying? But he loved the music, but he just had different views, man. And it's just like, since that day, man, I've always been like, yo, man, look, people are going to think what they want. But at the same time, I'm open-minded and I think the way I think. But, dude, it doesn't mean like I can't be friends with them or whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's like, yo, man, look, you grew up the way you grew up. I grew up the way I grew up. And it's just, I guess, like respecting each other's opinions or shit like that. You know what I mean?
That's like the Harry Krishna's passing stuff out at Studio One. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah. I always remember those dudes being around.
I don't know if it was the guys in 108 or Shelter or both. I don't know, but
yeah, I remember them dudes at even at Tompkins Square Park, where they used to give out the free food and fucking I remember that being Krishna Core at the time. It was like a part of like a little division of the hardcore scene. Shelter, 108, and I'm sure there was a bunch of other bands at the time. I know the Cro-Mags were into that. We actually did a benefit years ago, man, for John Joseph's for the Christian Temple. It was like Hardcore for Hunger. I think it was probably like 1994 or 95, something like that. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, man, you got some good questions, man. You're taking me back, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I have a few more. I have like 2 or 3 more. So.
Nah, take it, dude. I'm good, man. I'm loving it, man.
Let's see. Favorite band you're listening to now, or your favorite band of all time, or both? I don't know, whichever.
Favorite band I'm listening to now, or well, man, I got a few favorite bands but one of the bands is Celtic Frost, man. It's like one of my all-time favorite bands, dude, hands down. Always loved them. And Sam Hain, pretty much anything Danzig's done, like in the 90s, up until like the 90s, I was, always into his stuff too. And a band like Minor Threat or 7 Seconds. And then like for me, it's all like it's different styles of music. You know what I'm saying? So there's like those are my favorites in that style. But I got like industrial, like I like a lot of industrial music stuff like Ministry and Front 242, and then reggae stuff like Bob Marley and Peter Tosh. I mean, I've listened to so much music in my life that. But one of my favorite bands of all time, dude, is Celtic Frost. So hands down, man.
Cool. Favorite TV show, past or present?
Favorite TV show, past or present? Dude, I gotta go. For me, I like some of my favorite shows are like The Land of the Lost, fucking Gilligan's Island.
Oh, so like way back stuff, like 60s stuff.
Oh yeah, dude, those are my shows, man. Like What's Happening, Barney Miller, and one of my all-time favorites, The Honeymooners.
Oh yeah, love The Honeymooners, man.
Ralph Cramden, Ed Norton. Oh man, I used to watch that show every night, dude. It would come on like I think it was like come on like 11:30 or something like it did. But in Jersey, when I was in Jersey, I watch it every night, dude.
Oh, you can see all the episodes they're all on YouTube, I think. I mean,
yeah. Oh man, I got the box set and dude. I'm a big fan of Jackie Gleason, man, definitely.
Oh, they're still on PIX too. I think WPIX that come on later at night still.
Dude, shows like that during that time, man, were just so amazing, man. It's like, dude, even like Different Strokes or like Taxi, fucking dude, just shows what's happening. Wait, what's the other one with Jimmy Walker? Remember that one with Jimmy Walker? Oh yeah, Good Times back in the day.
Good Times.
Yeah, those are all my shows I used to watch, man. Facts of Life.
Yeah,
just crazy. But that's when I would say I watched the most TV, man. After I would come home after school or while you're eating dinner, you would watch those shows and always remember for like the holidays, like King Kong would come on for Thanksgiving, and then for Christmas you'd have all the Charlie Brown fucking cartoons. Then all but it's changed so much, man. If you weren't, I always think this. So like, if you weren't born in that time, you wouldn't know what a huge impact that stuff had, man. You know what I'm saying? These kids, they'll never. If you weren't there to witness, to watch it, or whatever, you wouldn't even understand it, man. You know what I'm saying? It's just such a different time.
I think back then you really appreciated it because you used to just wait for the show to come on. Now there's like instant gratification with everything.
There you go, bro. Damn, you hit that. That's the truth, man, right there. And there's like so much there's just dude, you could watch like fucking 1,000 channels or something. It's like that shit. It's like for me, I had an iPod and I had fucking so many songs on it. And dude, I could just never figure out what I wanted to listen to. So I would just take a CD, man, and just at least a CD. I know what song I want to listen to. It's like it's just over, and I suffer from anxiety, man. You know what I'm saying? So, it would just like fucking it would overwhelm me sometimes. Like fucking, dude, I want to be in control of this shit. So when there's just so much going on, it's like, holy fuck, I feel like I lost control, man.
Sure. I know. So what would you want your legacy to be? Like, how do you want people in the New Jersey, New York hardcore scene to like think of you or remember you?
Oh man, just that we kept the spirit alive. You know what I'm saying? We weren't it wasn't the biggest band, but we were one of the bands that helped keep the true spirit of hardcore alive. And I mean, we still continue to do it. There's going to be like, hopefully once this COVID shit is over, I'll be able to do some stuff. But I mean, I'm not fooling myself. I know it'll never be what it was because those were just such special times, man. It was like, I mean, like, dude, just the people that were around. I mean, like every other day, man, I'm hearing somebody like dying. These dudes are like 50s, 60s. I'm like,
that point from the mid 90s to like about 2000 is probably like the best time in my opinion.
Dude, 100%, man. It's just, dude, I don't think anybody knew like how special it was, man. I didn't. I thought it would never end, bro. It was just such a good time, man. And during that time, everybody was together, man. Everybody was looking out, it seemed like. And then, I don't know, man, the smaller the scene got, it just seemed like people were just trying to exclude other people, trying to, whatever money was to be made, they were trying to keep that in the little circle. For me, it was, I just loved playing, man. I just wanted to play and be a part of the scene that I loved, man. You know what I'm saying? So for me, it was always, everything we did was an accomplishment, man. Like from putting out the first, demo to the 7-inch. I mean, we put out the first record, the 94, we did that 7-inch, the short fuse 7-inch record. Dude, that was like beyond anything I think any of us ever thought we'd do. We went on to do so much more, records and CDs and these, being able to play with like Slayer and Machine Head, the Misfits, torn with Agnostic Front, torn with Biohazard, torn with Napalm Death. I mean, we did some really cool stuff, man. And yeah, very, very proud, man. I mean, for me, just one of the bands that helped keep the scene alive and pass the torch to the new kids. So, I mean, hardcore just seems it's never gonna. It's like a small thing, kind of like it's never gonna be huge. I mean, it's the thing is like some of these people, they got to realize that hardcore punk rock was against the mainstream. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people tried to, not saying like Biohazard, like I love Biohazard, but like some of those bands, I don't think that they ever thought that they would get so big. You know what I'm saying? That it was, because it's anti-industry, anti-getting big. You're just promoting your own like DIY thing and you're keeping the scene alive. I mean, nobody's like the best musicians, but that was the thing with hardcore. It was like punk, whatever, anybody could be involved. Anybody could do it. You didn't have to be the best player.
Is there anything you want to promote, like social media or anything that you're trying to kind of push, you want to put out there that maybe we didn't talk about?
Yeah, I have like the stuff I'm working on right now is the new 25 to Life 6-song CD, and then a split 7-inch coming out for 2021. And then I'm doing another band. It's called American Uprise, and I did a 7-inch with that band a few years back. And now we have I did that band more underground stuff, so more punk oi, I would say. But so we got that, and then everything else, all the 25 Life stuff. I mean, if there's the 25 Life page, which one is official, and it's spelt wrong. I spelt it wrong on purpose, so I could tell people that this is my page. It's 25 to Life official, and it's OF. There's only one F instead of two in official. And everybody tells me, Rick, it's spelled wrong. So I know I did it on purpose. But that's it. And then my Facebook page and my Instagram, Rick Healey. They're my real name, Healey, Rick Healey. And then let me see what else we got here. We got.
So you're at Rick Healey. It's for Instagram.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I got an online store coming, selling a lot of like old stuff, man, just old hardcore shirts and fucking like, as well as like all the 25 to Life, the vinyl stuff, like the SIB, the new one we put on vinyl, and the new Comin Correct, Drug Destroy Dreams we put on vinyl, as well as the CD and shirts, hooded sweatshirts, t-shirts, shorts, all that stuff, man, that we've had, and then like all the old stock of 25 to Life and Back to Basics records, or some of the old stuff I have, that as well as like newer stuff that I trade with the newer bands. So I mean, a lot of stuff I only got like 5 or 10 copies of, but that stuff's up on the page too. So yeah, man, that's and like I said, man, I really appreciate everything you've done, man. Coming up with the cool questions and everything, man. All these years later. And So I'm definitely appreciative, man.
If I wanted to play a song or two to go along with it, it'd be okay then.
Yeah, you have my permission. Yo, what can I tell you? There's a few songs I'd love for you to play, man, if you could.
Sure.
One is from 25 to Life. It's a song called "Stay Up," and it features Bobby Biohazard on guitar. That's off the SIB record. And then there's another song, what else? Another song, it's 25 to Life off the Hellbound record, and that's called Abort, ABORT. And that's a hard song, dude. So yeah, if you could play those, I would fucking definitely appreciate it.
Like I said, you definitely have a history with everything. I think it was, I wanted to have you on because I was like, man, guy's like a fixture in the music scene. So it's like, I'm glad I could have had you on for this. So hopefully when I put it out, it's a lot of people are going to be like, wow, that Rick's a pretty good dude and does some good stuff. So I think
I appreciate it, man. Yo, you knew a lot of the history. You knew the questions to ask. So I mean, everything that was good. I mean, you knew some really great questions, man.
Cool.
So I appreciate asking and helping me get the answers out to people, because I'm sure a lot of people. I mean, dude, I can't talk to every person, man. It's like so. Yeah, man, like I said, I want to thank you so much, man, for the cool interview, the cool questions, man, and I definitely appreciate it, man. You brought back a lot of memories for me. Just shit that you need somebody, to remind you, and it's like it goes to my head. It's like, yeah, just wow, man. It's been a wild trip.
Like I said, man, you're everybody. You're like a fixture. You're definitely a fixture in the scene. So I'm glad you did this. That's why.
Right. I definitely appreciate it, man.
Sounds great. All right, man. Yeah, I'll catch you in the future, dude. Take care. All right. Thanks.
All right, brother. Definitely. Be safe, man.
You too, man. Bye-bye.
Peace out.
Believed everything you said about a family. Changed my life for the better. Happiness erased the hate. Joy over pain. And I remember when you said you were pregnant, I was thinking, yo, I'm gonna be a dad. And then you started saying some whack shit about how you weren't sure you're gonna keep it. The betrayal I felt, the pain you caused me. How could you throw it away?
And I can tell you it'll be okay. And I can say I'll never feel the same. Get it out my shot, I can't forgive. In my eyes you can feel. I can tell you it'll be okay. And I can say I'll never feel the same. Get it out my shot, I can't forgive. In my eyes you can feel. What we made. What was the price? What we made. What was the price? And I can tell you it'll be okay. And I can say I'll never feel the same. Till the emotion I can't forgive. In my eyes you have seen. And I can tell you it'll be okay. And I can say I'll never feel the same. Till the emotion I can't forgive. In my eyes you have seen. What we made. What was the price? What we made. What was the price? USA and my eyes, 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 USA and my Oh,